Welcome to Tanya Outside In. We're in the middle of chapter 20, chapter Chaf, and we are just beginning to discuss the statement from the Zohar that says that the first two of the Aseret Dibrus contain the entire Torah. Anoichi Hashem is Anoichi Hashem represents all the all the Ramach mitzvahs asay, Shalom Laser, and Lo Yelecha represents all the mitzvahs lo asay. Okay, so between the 248 Ramach, 248 positive mitzvahs and 365 negative mitzvahs, we have 316, 306, 613 mitzvahs. And the Rebbe is explaining that was the reason why we heard them, why we heard the first two of these Mipir Gavura. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, we join you on page Kaf Vav. First one on the line is Piv, about 8 lines down. Okay. There's a dot in the middle of the line. Unamoshel. Kamoi benefesh Adam. Let's backtrack a minute. Then we were saying that the Indian of Achdus Hashem means that Hashem did not change. And that's not very difficult. Un, that's very difficult to deal with. Yeah, what do you mean Hashem didn't change? Even if you're going to say that I am very, 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 very small, yeah, okay, but still I'm here. You can't say that I'm not here. So how can it be that if Hashem created creation and creation didn't always exist, that nothing changed within Hashem? Okay, so we're going to have to grapple with that a little bit, quite a lot. Uh, let's see.
I'm not understanding the issue there. What are we grappling with? Hashem is not one. If he's one, he's there before, he's there afterwards.
Well, how can you say that Hashem didn't change with the advent of creation? If it or how can you say that if Hashem is Echad, yeah, and Hashem is really the word that we use for reality or truth, whatever you want to call it, then came into being us, yeah, creation. Well, something had to have changed in him because I wasn't here before and now I'm here. So there's now at least him and me, even if I'm extremely small. You with me? That's the question. But we bring the pasuk, the famous pasuk, Ani Hashem lo shanisi. I'm Hashem, I didn't change, which means somehow, with the advent of me and you, that didn't change Hashem in any way. Okay, nothing changed. And there's a bunch of different mashalim that we have actually in our generation that the Rebbe didn't have that he kind of hints to, but I think he would have really appreciated some of the mashalim we have now with like with the computer screens and like with light that we're going to talk about, like our advanced understanding of light now, how white light works and how the different colors of light are contained within it, etc. Okay, so let's backtrack to the top of the page. Shekashemoy, just like Shahayahu Levado, that he was alone, who Yochin and Miyuchad Koidem Hibam, that he was absolutely alone and exclusive by himself before he created creation. Kain Hu Levadoi, also Hu Levadoi, he's alone, who Yochin and Miyuchad Acha Shabom, even after creating them, he's still the same Yochin and Miyuchad. He's alone, which basically means that we are not something other than Hashem. That's the only really way that you can say it. We're not something other than Hashem. We're of Hashem. Mishum dekula kamei kaloi choshev, because everything is like nothing. Uka'ayin ve'efes mamash. It's absolutely like nothing, which doesn't just mean it's very, very small. It means, like we've said, the relationship of the relationship of the image to the electricity. Within the electricity is the ability to create light, yeah, to produce light. Within the light, the white light is all the colors of the rainbow. So how much substance does the image in front of you on the screen have in relationship to the electricity? Meaning, what would happen if you pulled the plug on your screen right now? If you were to pull the plug out of your monitor right now, unless you're on a laptop, yeah, the image would immediately vanish, meaning there's nothing other than electricity. What you're looking at right now, right in front of your eyes, is nothing other than a reconfiguration of electricity. So, what does the image, what kind of mamashas, how do you say that? What substance does the image have in the presence of the electricity? It's a
It's
re
secondary.
it's not secondary. That's giving it much too much. That's giving it much too much. It's much less than that. It's it if the electricity stops, the image immediately vanishes.
It's dependent.
It's absolutely dependent, like utterly dependent. So too, it's like your words, we're going to say that now, is as you speak, your words coming out of your mouth. Yeah, now our speech kind of breaks away from us and it can be recorded and then you can play it back another time. Yeah, but the Hashem speech is being generated. It's the same as I'm speaking, the, the word that I'm speaking is coming out of my mouth and it travels through the air. But what's its relationship to me? That word is being produced by me. It's really a very similar relationship to the image of the screen and the electricity. You with me? It's so tenuous. It's so nothing.
So get him a bandit. What's taking you so long?
Uh, okay. So look at the Ka'efes mamish. He is harvest. Kol ha'elamas elyonim v'tachtonim. Why? Why is it nothing? Because the creation or the existence, better, the existence of all of the worlds, the higher worlds, the higher spiritual worlds, and lower spiritual worlds, including our physical world, I ma'ayin liyesh. They are something from nothing. וחיוסם וקיומם הכמיים לא יחסו להיות עין ואפס כשחיה. וקיומם, they are me'ayin liyesh. They come from nothing. They're a yesh me'ayin from ayin liyesh. V'chiyusam v'kiyumam, and their life and their existence have a kayimim shelo yachzu liyois ayin ve'efes k'shachaya. Eino ela devar Hashem v'ruach piv yizbrach melubash behem. It's exactly the moshel. The Alter Rebbe would have loved the electricity screen moshel. It's exactly what he just said. It's exactly that. Just it's a more profound version that we have now. He's saying that as I'm speaking the words, yeah, the words are coming out of my mouth. I'm generating Shalom Meir. I'm generating the sounds. And as I stop, the sound stops. Like we could think of it like this in a sense. If I start going la and I stop, that the sound is being generated by me. So how could you say that that noise is anything in my presence? That noise is just it's generated by me And if I remove myself from it, it immediately stops existing. That's the mashal that the Rebbe is speaking of. But we've got a much more profound mashal sitting right in front of us. Is the mashal of the screen, the image on the screen, compared to the electricity that's generating that image. It's another way to see it is when you here. This is my tabak, yeah. So look, you're seeing me throwing this up in the air. What you're really seeing is my energy. You're not seeing my tobacco, you're seeing my energy going up in the air. The minute my energy finishes, the tobacco falls to the ground. So we're not talking about the tobacco, but we're talking about the illusion of the tobacco flying up in the world. The illusion of this little box going up in the air, that's an illusion. Why? Because really what you're seeing is me, is my energy enclosed in this physicality that when it finishes, it just drops down. That's exactly Itzy, okay?
Yeah, I'm not really understand. I know I've seen you do this a lot. But I am seeing the tobacco go up and down. I'm seeing whatever you call it tobacco. What are you calling it?
Yeah, it's about whatever, a little box.
I see it go up and down, but I understand your energy is pushing it, but I'm not seeing your energy. I'm really seeing the go up and down.
No, you're not seeing the box. You're not seeing the nature of the box. The nature of the box is to just sit here like this.
Okay.
That is the nature of the box. Yeah,
Correct. If you were to stop throwing it, it'll go back to its nature. That's what it does.
that's the point. So when you're seeing it go up in the air like that, you're not seeing its nature. You're seeing my
Ah,
energy enclosed in its physicality.
okay.
And the minute that my energy finishes, it reverts back to itself. Now, now that's in the world of something. But in the world that we're talking about now, is Hashem is causing in the world. See, now let's go back a step, yeah? So everyone gets this, yeah? The nature of the box is to sit here like this. When you see me throwing the box up in the air, you're seeing the nature of the box. You're not seeing the nature of the box, you're seeing my energy replacing the nature of the box. Now let's go back a step. The nature of its existence, the fact that it is, what is it without Hashem forcing this into being? What happens to it? It stops being. See, remember, we've got David Melech Yisrael Chai v'Kayam. Yeah? What's the difference in Chias and Kiyam? So Kiyam is its existence, and Chias is its life, which means Kiyam means the fact that it is. Everything has the same Kiyam. Yeah, you are Miskayim, just like a rock is Miskayim. It just is. Now, the difference between you and a rock, that's to do with your life. A rock has got a lot less life in it than you have. But you both exist in the same way. But now we were showing about the life. See, the life of this box is that it's inanimate. It just sits there. That's the life of this box. So when I throw it up in the air, you see my life, so to speak, enclosed in this box. But going back a step, when we're talking about the existence of the box, this is what we're talking about here. Hashem is forcing this box to exist. And if he stopped forcing it to exist, it would immediately not exist. And that's exactly the same, literally exactly the same idea as the image on the screen with the electricity. The electricity is generating this image. That's the right word to say, generating the image. So you're not seeing anything other than the electricity. So in that sense, if Hashem was to remove his energy from creation, there would be no creation. So from his perspective, like we're saying, Hashem, Ani Hashem Lo Shenisi, meaning nothing else actually exists other than the Rabbanu Shalom. Just like the image on the screen is a reconfiguration of the electricity. So from the perspective of the electricity, there's no difference. It was going like this, now it's going like that, now it's going like this. It was so from the perspective of the electricity, it's just been reconfigured. Is there something more than the electricity? No. That's what we see. That's what we mean when we say Ani Hashem lo shanisi. That everything that you're seeing is, so to speak, a reconfiguration of godly energy. So is there something? From our perspective, yes. From his perspective, no. And he uses as a moshel, if he had LCD screens, he'd probably be talking about LCD screens, but this is written 235 years ago, so he wrote about the idea of speech. That when a person's speaking, if he was to stop speaking for a minute, the words stop, the sounds stop existing.
Is that mashal that the Rebbe is using is because this energy that is generating life right now is done through Hashem speaking? That's the energy. It's spoken.
Yes.
So he's speaking right now.
He's speaking. Yeah, the fact that you exist is his speech. You are his speech, except for your neshama. That's his breath. But you are his speech. Just you want to hear a nice thing. Lazy, you listening? You hear? You appreciate this. So you are Devar Hashem, just like everything else in the world. When you are Makadish yourself and you become Toradik, you give Hashem the schus of speaking Divrei Torah. And the opposite. If a person is a Butlan, then he's forcing Hashem to speak divine Batalim. And if a person's a Balavera, he's causing Hashem to speak Lashon Hara. Rahman al-Islam. Okay, Ulamoshel. So he's going to now bring this down to us. Ulamoshel. Kamoish benefesh adam, just like in a man, kshmedaber devar echad. When he speaks a word, shedibur zeh levadoi kloi mamash. This speech is like absolutely nothing. Afilu legabe klalas nafshoi hamadaberes. Compared to his speaking soul. Why? Because you could speak endless words. You could speak endless words. So one word compared to endless words is nothing. Shehu b'chinas levushen sai shalites, the middle garment, which is speech. Shu koyach hadibur shala, which is the ability to speak of the soul. Sheyachol ledaber diburim le'ain kates v'tachlis. He could speak endless words. So one word compared to his ability to speak is infinitely insignificant. He can speak endless words. And all the more so when you compare the speech to the inner garment. What's the inner garment?
Machshava.
Yeah. Shehu hamachshava shememenu nimshachu hadiburim v'chiyusam v'hi chiyusam. There's so much in these words. So we can't like just get into everything because we have to keep moving a little bit at least. That if you compare one word to your ability to speak, well, that word is completely insignificant. But now compare the ability to speak to the ability to think. The ability to think is what generates speech. So now the ability to think is actually a different quality of letter. The letters in the ability to speak is called oisius gussus. He's going to say, I think. 1 minute. Now compare that to the inner garment, and from that the speech flows, and which is the life force. Now compare his ability to think to the actual essence of the soul. Which is the 10 powers of the soul. Chabad, Chagas, Nahim. Yeah, Shemahen Nimshachu Oisius Machshava Zu. From that comes the Oisius Machshava, Hamibashas Bedibur Zeh, which become enclosed within that speech, Kishmedaber, when it speaks. Ki Machshava he, Gam Ke Machin Oisius, because the Machshava is also Oisius. Kamoy Hadibor, just like speech, Rakshay Ruchnius V'Dakas Yoseh, but it's much more what's the word? Refined or ethereal. Aval Esed Bechinas Chabad, but the 10 faculties of the soul, they are the shoresh and the root of the thought. And there's no word, there's no letters there. Before they become enclosed in the levush of the machshava. He is really describing the screen analogy using a much lesser moshul, meaning he didn't have access to our moshul. So he's using a more complicated moshul. It's still there, but Hashem in his infinite kindness has blessed us with a much more immediate and obvious moshul. So he's saying this is how he's explaining it, the way I understand it from speaking, is I turn around to you and I say, I love you. Well, what's that coming from? Yes, I mean it, which I do. I love all of you. Where's that coming from? Those words, I love you.
From your thoughts, from your heart.
Oh, is that Nassim? So Nassim.
Yes.
Nice to see your NB. It's coming from you. Yeah, exactly like what you just said. I love you is coming from the you. And I just saw this today. This is really interesting. How do you say you in Hebrew?
Okay.
Yeah. Aleph Taf or Aleph Taf Hey, but it's really the shosh is Aleph Taf. The Hey is turns it into masculine, yeah? Why? I was just thinking this today. Because you're koilel all of the Osius. Aleph to Taf. The you, the you before the speech, before the thoughts, there aren't Osius. It's all the Osius. That's Aleph to Taf. That's At, or Ata. So when I say I love you, that's coming from me. But in me, there's no oisius. There's just me. There's just a singularity. From that singularity, oisius are born. First oisius dakas, which is thought, then oisius gasus, which is machshava, and maybe even oisius mamash, which thought, then machshava, then dibor, then oisius mamash, maybe, which is writing. But me, myself, there's just a oneness. And the letters come from that oneness. That's exactly the moshel of Chashmal. Chashmal is a oneness. from the oneness comes the multiplicity of the colors, of the 16 million RGB colors. So now compare one word to the ability to speak. We can speak forever. Now compare the ability to speak to the ability to think, which is the root of speaking. Again, it's completely insignificant. Now this is the big one. Compare the ability to think, which is still letters. Compare that to the simple yichud of the actual soul itself. Now compare that final word that we spoke about to the actual soul itself, and there's absolutely no. It's been nullified 5 times over. So let's see what he says. Lamoshel. Now he's going to bring this very much Lamaisa. Well, very much Lamaisa. You'll see. Lamoshel. He gives another moshel. כשנויבלס איזה אהבה וחמדה בליבוי של אדם, קודם שאוילם הלב אל המוח לחשוב להרהר בו, אין בו בחינס אויסיוס עדיין, רק חופץ פשוט וחשיקה בלב, אל הדבר ההוא הנחמד אצלוי. You see a piece of cake on the table, yeah? Delicious piece of cake. Before you've even had a chance to process that you want it, that it's delicious and wonderful, whatever it is, it presents itself to you as something that you want. And at this stage, and it's almost immediately gone because it turns into letters because we aren't thinking about it in an adult. But when a little child, sees something sweet, who doesn't speak, he'll go, he'll want it. But he has no letters of speech, no letters of thought. So there's this level of wanting where it's so primal, it's so of the soul that it's completely mufshat, completely dislocated from any kind of letter, from any kind of differentiation. Okay? So that's the first stage. You see a piece of cake. And before you say to yourself, oh, I'd like a piece of that, there's the desire that causes you to say, oh, I'd like a piece of that. You with me? But in a human being, it's so quick that you don't notice that, but it's there. And how do we know? Because if you've got I've got a 8-month-old child, I have one right now that you see. That's how it is. He's like, yeah. And he's not thinking, I want some of that, because he doesn't have any ability to think. He's just seeing it and wanting it. That's just a complete singularity. Okay? Everyone's clear on that? We'll go to the next step. V'kol shekain, koidem shenafla hatayva v'chemda belibo la'oised dava, rak haise b'koi chochmosoi v'sichloi v'yidiasoi, sha'anoi de'etzloi oised dava shehu nechmad no'im v'toi v'yofe v'lahasigo l'dabuk boi. Before the actual taiva to have it, he's just aware of it. Before you see the cake, do you want it? Obviously not. It doesn't exist to you. So now, once you see the cake, and the cake is now a metzias to you, now there's in your mind, there's no separation between the stage of your awareness of it and your wanting it. But the Rebbe says there is. There's the initial awareness of the thing, the initial consciousness of that metzias, of that entity in front of you. The fact that the cake exists in front of you, that's the first stage. Now that awareness becomes a desire, I want it. And then that desire becomes a speech, we'll see. Okay? So Kol Shekain, We said that. Rock has
How could there be awareness before desire? I thought desire. You're saying there's awareness and then desire. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, while we're saying desire here, we're talking about emotions. We're not talking about Rotson. We're talking about emotion here, by the way, if anybody understands that. דבר ככל חכמוס ושיכלו וידיעסוי שהנוי דאצלו יסד דבר שהוא נחמד ונעים וטוב ויפה להשיג או לדבק בוי, that he appreciates, he sees the thing exists and he knows that it's a good thing. Then comes the taiva. For example, Kagon, Lilmoid Eza Chochma or Lecho Eza Michael Orev, to learn a certain thing or to eat a sweet food. Rak La'acha Shakava Nofla Hachem Deva Hataiva Beliboy, Bekor Chochmoso Vesichla Vidiasoi. Slicha, 1 minute. For example, I need to take a running. This is a long. Let me just read again. V'kolshkein, 5 lines up, the end of the line. V'kolshkein, koidem shenafla hatayva v'chemda beliboy. Before it, the taiva the hemda falls into his heart. La'oisadava, for that thing. It's in potential in his awareness. Sha'anoide etzloi, that it becomes apparent to him and known to him. That he should get this thing before he actually wants this thing. It becomes apparent that it's something that he should want. Yeah, to learn a certain kind of learn a certain idea or to eat a certain food. However, since that desire falls into his heart, in the potential of his seichel, his intellect, now he starts to think about it. Lahasig a Michael or Midas HaChachma b'poil. Now he starts to think, how can I do this? How can I get this? At this point is born letters in the mind. And listen to this last little thing he throws in, which is Modik. Shen Oisius, listen to this. They are the letters Colossian Am Va'am, the language of every nation, of different nations. Hamadabrim and Mamaim Bahem Ko Inyane Oilam. Think about all the things of this world. That last little thing he threw in is a huge idea. So let's just unpack it quickly and then we'll finish. So it's like this. You see the piece of cake on the table. And now you're aware of it, and the awareness is that it's a good thing. Now that's the level of seichel. Yeah? Now it falls into the midas. Now that has for sure got no oisius. You're just aware of it. Where's the need or the room for letters at this point? There isn't. Now that falls into the heart, and the heart says, "Oh, I want some of that." And just like the baby says, "I want some of that," you at that point, you don't say, "I want some of that." You just want some of that. That's without letters. Now what happens is now that desire for the cake goes back into the mind and starts to think, "Oh, I would like that." That's where the letters are born. The letters are born from the emotion. The emotion, which is like a young child who's without letters, the emotion causes the letters to become to be. And then you speak, let's say it's to say something. Now you speak the word. Now, how relevant, how real is that word compared to the original awareness of the thing? but then he throws in one more little nugget that changes everything. And that word could exist in any language. So that word itself is irrelevant. But now you could say that word would, let's say the word you're going to say is table. So the word itself is irrelevant. But the kalim that hold the word are absolutely arbitrary. Because you could say table, or you could say shulchan, or you could say tish. And so the word is utterly irrelevant. That last part that he threw in changes everything. Because the actual word itself is irrelevant. Sorry, the actual meaning of the word is irrelevant. But then the package that the word is in is utterly irrelevant. Whether you call it shulchan, or whether you call it tish, or whether you call it table. Completely arbitrary. I'm exhausted. I always get exhausted. This chapter, this little shtickle here, this page of Tanya exhausts me every time I teach it. Every time I teach it, I've been through this hundreds and hundreds of times, literally. Did that make any sense to anyone? Wow, any made any sense to anyone?
A little bit.
A little bit.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, there's a lot there, but it's really worth getting it clear because it's a very special and it really one of the things that really helps you get in touch with is how irrelevant speech is. Meaning and how irrelevant speech is mitzad echad, but how real speech is mitzad sheni. When I say to you I love you, yeah, the actual word compared to my love for you is absolutely nothing. But the only way that you can touch my love for you is when I tell you that I love you, or when I buy you something or do something for you. So my love for you is infinitely beyond those 8 letters, I love you. But the only way you can touch my love for you is through those 8 letters. And that's exactly the same with creation. That creation to Hashem is utterly nothing. Utterly nothing. But the only way you can get to Hashem is through creation. So it's absolutely everything. Bezrat Hashem. Okay. I don't know if we're going to meet. There's Wednesday night. I don't know if let's say there is no class on Wednesday night for me, which would be Wednesday day for you. There's too much stuff flying. So hopefully over Pesach a we'll make a share. We'll schmooze about Pesach. Maybe we can all sit there with some matzah and just schmooze for brang, for brang. Bezrat Hashem.
That'd be great. Did you have a Pesach shir already? Did you post one?
From this
Not
year,
really.
the G
Yeah.
G4 share that I gave is Pesach thing. You know the idea, but I added a lot more to it. It's the idea of Madishtana, learning learning the shorish of a question, meaning that we ask questions. The Jew asks questions to get close to Hashem, not for the answer. The answer is a means to an end. The end is becoming close to who you're asking the question from.
That fits with my board that there is no answer to the question.
Yeah, so yeah, it's the same idea basically. But that's the that's that I
Right.
in G4, but I gave it with a bigger riches. It's like an hour shear. So if you want
Oh
to,
wow.
you could like yeah, Bezrat Hashem. Pesach is a big one. Make sure to read through the Haggadah before Pesach. You should make sure to at least have gone through the whole thing once, hopefully twice. Feel comfortable with the Haggadah. Daven to the Boy to show that he should give you the right things to say. That you should inspire everyone who's with you, and be inspired yourself. And you should be protected from eating any chametz, and elevate creation. Bezrat Hashem. Happy Pesach. Yeah, that's a good words to end on. Okay. a Freilichen Chag. Kol Tov.